Curtis? Curtis, you there? Curtis. Oh, that's right. He's on vacation this week. Well, folks, it's just me for this episode. And I'm joined by Ryan Walsh of the Boston-based band Hallelujah the Hills. They've been around for over 20 years, and just recently, they put out a brand new project called Deck. It's 52 songs across 4 LPs, and we're going to talk all about it. The origins of the project, how they made it over the past 2.5 years, and the unique sound of each LP. As Curtis would say, Citywide Blackout starts right now.
Welcome to Citywide Blackout with your hosts, Max Bowen and Curtis Hughes. With years of experience in journalism, music, and entertainment business, they put their knowledge to work, bringing you the best in-depth, fun, and sometimes outrageously bizarre interviews with authors, musicians, and many other creators from around the world. With the right amount of gusto and a few F-bombs thrown in for emphasis, you're sure to have a good time. So put up your feet, grab a beverage, and let's go.
Okay, Ryan. Now, of course, we are here to talk about the band's recent release, Deck. This was put out on June 13th. It is a whopping 52 songs across 4 LPs. Holy God, dude. Where did this thing come from?
Plus 2 jokers.
Plus 2 jokers, yes. Oh my God, dude. What like a massive project, but what is the origin of Deck?
I'm no exaggeration. I had the idea 25 years ago when I was like, 20-ish, 21. I was just starting to make music. Thank God I didn't try to make it then. It wouldn't have been any good. And, because you have so little life experience, and I was learning so much. It was inspired by, I just love when artists take huge swings, Guided by Voices' Suitcase, which was 100 old songs of his he put out at once, or the Magnetic Field 69 love songs, or the Anthology of American Folk Music being these 3 huge volumes. So just I love big things, and I love structures for how things fit together, because I think structures and rules is actually good for creativity a lot of the time. So a lot of people disagree, but that's another argument. Anyways, so after the pandemic, I just felt like all of us, that I had lost a bunch of time and momentum. And I thought, what would be what's the biggest idea I have? And if I presented the band, would they say yes? And they did. And then I had no more excuses. And then off we went.
I love it. When you told them, hey guys, this is what I want to do, were they all like, absolutely? Or were they like, say that one again?
We've been a band for so long, so they heard me talk about it surely before, so it wasn't completely foreign concept. And I think we all just kept saying to each other and publicly, if we might call it quits, we might decide we don't have this in us, but we'd like to try. So we had an out, and but the Patreon of dedicated fans who supported us and funded so much of the project just were so enthusiastic, and the songs kept coming, and we were having fun, and it wasn't ruining our dynamic or anyone's life. And so it was just why wouldn't we finish this? This is, and so it became not a chore, but really a beautiful adventure that I'll go on once in my life. It was this time, and it's done, and now everyone gets to hear it.
That is a great line, a beautiful adventure. I really love that. So let us dive into the adventure of just making Deck. So I know that most bands, they have a bunch of songs in their back pocket that they've put aside for different reasons, but was Deck all brand new music, or was it stuff that you kind of held off for a little while?
The rule really was, it had to be, I couldn't do that trick. I couldn't have been sitting on all these, quote unquote gems. There's one that predates it. I did a solo EP during the pandemic. We took one song from there, made a band arrangement. Everything else from about 6 months before we publicly announced it onward, it was all written in that period.
Wow.
And so I had a rule. The Hills practice once a week on Mondays. And I said, if I always bring in a new song, eventually we won't fail. It'll just add up. And so, but there were missteps or songs we couldn't figure out, or bad songs. And so, I have this spreadsheet that documents the whole thing. And I think 65 songs is what I ended up with. But, we recorded 52. And the 2 jokers, one's an instrumental written and one is an improvised instrumental. So, and those are
Ooh.
public domain. Anyone can use those for anything. That was the idea of the wild cards, the joke. So,
Wow, so
yeah.
cool. I
You can even
love.
add your own vocals. You can make up your own words, sing it, release it, make money off it. We don't care.
Oh, Ryan,
The joke is-
you do not want me singing, sir. That is a travesty to the arts in every shape and form, sir. But all right. So you guys did this over the course of about 2.5 years. You recorded, you came up with 65, recorded 52. These 13, though, why didn't they work out?
As a band who's been a band for so long as us, we just know when it's not working, whether it could be any reason, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to get better. We know when to throw something out. But also there were times when I thought we had thrown out a song and someone remembered it, and like last minute it came back with different lyrics or something. So it was just a process, and we wanted the strongest material. So the things that weren't working as well, we were happy to trash,
Yeah, okay. Did the concept of it being like a deck of songs come first, or was it more like as you went along, you realized, hey, we have enough here to do a whole deck?
The kind of container or frame was first.
Okay.
I thought it would be so cool to have one song for every card in a deck of cards. Also, the deck of cards and tarot cards, no one knows which came first. Their history is kind of intermingled. And then literally everyone has a deck of cards in their house. So I just thought it was, I couldn't believe no one had ever done it before. But maybe I'm the only person who would say that because no one else did do it before. But, just the idea of this instantly recognizable symbol system, taking it on, I don't know, I was just magnetized to the idea.
It's so cool. I love it. Were there any major challenges, or were there, or what also would you say was like the best part about getting to work on this massive project?
Well, I wanted something big that would really demand a lot of my time. So that was helpful, and I embraced it. By the end, I was exhausted and ready. I was like, we gotta end soon, and we did. But there were challenges throughout. But like I said, we really happily worked through them. There's ways my brain's wired where I'm like, everyone's about to quit the Patreon, we're fucked, and that wasn't true at all. No, they were so nice and supportive. We gave them 2 cover songs a month, as well as like behind the scenes making it, what this was like making it. So the challenge was, sometimes I'd get tired and someone else would sort of take the lead and cheerlead and push us forward. It was, we really are friends, everyone in the Hills. So we just kind of took care of each other in the project and got it across the finish line.
Okay, the finish line. How did it feel to say it's done, nothing else to do?
It felt amazing. And I almost didn't believe it. I was like, well, I got to do the interviews now, or, I could make another music video. It's hard. It is hard both to, I don't know. There were times when it seemed it'd never end. But when people actually, this weekend, when we played the release show here in Boston, and people had the deck of cards and the vinyl, and we were playing the songs, and a lot of people already knew words. We were like, yeah, it is done. We're finished. It belongs to these folks now.
Yeah.
It felt great. It was I felt tremendous relief and accomplished.
I'll bet. All right. You mentioned before the Patreons. You have, of course, the massive fan base, a lot of very loyal supporters, and each one was credited as an executive producer for this album. I've never seen that before. No, never. It's always usually like a handful of folks, but to credit every single one is such a cool idea. Why do this? Why this route?
Because they do more than most record executives. It's what I'll say. Not to disparage anybody, but I have a pretty low opinion of most of the music industry from both my own experiences writing about the music industry and loved ones' experience with the music industry. So, I just think here are the music fans. They're literally helping us make this. What else would you call them? They are executive producers. Like, they did not one of them is rich and paid for it all, but they all paid a little bit, and we made this beautiful thing. So it was a no-brainer to me. They're all of their names are in the deck of cards. They're in the vinyl. They're online. We put it everywhere because we're so grateful.
Yeah. Have you always had that kind of like fan support? Have you always kind of like enjoyed having that like massive legion of fans?
Now, you keep using the word massive, and I don't want to to correct you, but I don't think it's quite massive. We're a small cult band, but the people who love us really love us,
Mhm.
and that's all that matters in the end. But yeah, we've always. I'm a big fan of when artists and bands either have a conversation between each other or involve each other. We've done things like say this word and send it to us, and we'll layer it in as a sample, or and one of the first ever like Pitchfork articles about bands doing Kickstarters. We're like in the headline, like we jumped on that pretty early, just because we did the label thing and it was good in a lot of ways, and then it ended, and suddenly there was this new thing that allowed fans to act in some way as a label, and so we jumped on it pretty quick. We were early.
Now, of course, we have to talk about cover art. Now, each LP
Sure, yeah.
has its own cover art, and I think it's really, really cool. Who did this?
Well, it was me.
Oh,
I designed.
damn.
I designed. Here, let me get it. Hold on.
Yep.
This is the vinyl cover.
Yeah, for Diamonds.
You can actually see some mock-ups for the playing cards behind me on my dry erase board, but this is the actual deck. And so I've always loved art and collage and painting, and so each song got its own design that reflects the song in some way. That's a Joker right
Oh
there.
my God.
And each suit is a different color. So that's from
Yeah.
Heart. That's from Diamonds. That's the song Too High
Yeah.
to Sail On. So, and then the album covers follow the same suit color pattern.
Mhm.
So this is sort of the cover for the project at
Yep.
large. There's diamonds, clubs, hearts, spades, and of course the jokers.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
as if I didn't have enough work.
Right, yeah. As if you didn't give yourself enough to do with everything else. You do the art too.
I really take joy in doing it. So it was such a pleasure.
Yeah, that's so cool. Were these your first designs, or did you go through a lot of others before you said, that's it?
Oh no, there were like the songs. There were some throwouts. You don't hit a home run every time you're up to bat. If you do, you're probably cheating, or everyone's lying to you or something. So yeah, but the main thing is I want to be happy with it. So
Yeah.
worked on it till I felt it was all finished.
Yeah, I really like how you also like leaned really heavy into the suits. Like you have like each song has its name, and then it has almost like a sub name. You have like 2 of diamonds,
Right.
4 of hearts.
Right.
I read that.
Yes.
I was like, that's so cool. That's a cool like little like nugget there to put in.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you something. Whether we futz with it right now or later is up to you. But here in the chat, our trumpet player Brian built this app that deals you up to 13 songs. If you click on the deck,
Oh,
and it's got links to different ways you can listen to it. And so basically we want listeners to, whether they have this special deck of cards or not, you can use the app, you can use regular cards, assemble their own 13 song version of the album. The way statistics,
God.
yeah, the way statistics work, you will likely be the first person to ever pull those songs in that order, ever.
Yes, because here's
So,
the thing,
in a
folks.
way,
Folks, with all these songs, there's 635 billion different combinations.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, like you said, what I pull is probably first things first. My album, I love it.
Yeah, that seemed like a cool thing to do that no one had ever done before.
I heartily agree with that. That's such a cool thing. Yeah, Ryan, I just love all the depth that this project has, whether it's the arrangement of the songs, the cover art, all these like little things. You really went all in with this one, huh?
Like I said, I only get to do this once, make it once. So why not try to like reach my potential, the band's potential, without being an asshole or ruining other people's lives around me? Because that's one way, you hear the story all the time of the obsessed artist who, made what he wanted, but his family hates him. And I just don't believe that's true or required to make something grand and beautiful. So I don't know. I'm a hard worker, I guess. And
Yeah, just a little bit. All right. Now, of course, we have to talk about the music.
Sure.
I listened to all four LPs, Ryan. This is some
Wow.
amazing stuff. Oh, I had to.
Thank you.
I had to listen to
Thank you.
everything. It's so good. How did you arrange it? How did you decide what goes with like what suit?
Oh, that's a good question. So we started to make rules, and we knew that Diamonds was going to be sort of the songs that we knew Diamonds was all going to be recorded in the same studio and mixed in the same studio as our last album, I'm You, 2019's I'm You. And so we felt Diamonds is the official follow up to I'm You and should have all the potentially biggest studio arrangements, sort of things that we think are big pop, rock, I don't know, hit arrangements. That was one rule. Then we knew the clubs was going to be fast, punky, anthemic songs, things you might shout along with at a live show. And we also knew the Hearts was going to be much sparser, more emotional, thematically different than the other two. And then for a while, we didn't exactly know what Spades was going to be. We thought, well, if we run out of songs, maybe Spades will be remixes, you know? But we had those songs, and that's where sort of the weirder ones ended up. It's like the weird orphans in a way is Spades.
Yeah.
So it gets experimental and stranger as you get to the end, and I ended up loving that.
I got that same vibe too, because like with Diamonds, it was just this very much like smash in your face, powerful opening. Hearts, like you said, more chill, more mellow, and Spades was just like it was a great like eclectic collection of songs there. So that's so cool. All right, this is I know is a tough question, but I have to ask: do you have
Sure.
any favorite song or songs out of this collection?
Oh, yeah. Of course. I do, and I will tell you them right now.
after we don't take a long pause and then edit it out later. That's not going to happen, folks. No.
No, I would say so. Let me just pick one from each. That'll be fun.
There we go. That works.
The final song on Diamonds followed the foreshadowing, which just I don't know if we've had a lot of big endings and songs that culminate in big sing-alongs, but I don't think we've ever gotten as big as we do in the last minute and a half of Follow the Foreshadowing. And I just love the way that concept changes what you just heard and what you might be about to hear. And Cassie Berman's singing on it. Red Sox organist Josh Cantor is playing organ. The gathering, the people who go to the Brendan Behan pub around here sing on the end of that. Really fun to make. Clubs. I would say song 2, Burn This Atlas Down, is a favorite of mine because I really am fond of the lyrics, and I really like how catchy and hooky it is, but also someone I really look up to, Craig Finn from the Hold Steady, does this monologue in the middle section that is so great, and I was so grateful for him to do that. And so that's for clubs. On Hearts, I would pick a song called Some Rest for the Wicked, which is just an eerie kind of little microfiction that ends with a choir singing with us. That one gives me chills. And then on Spades, the final one, The World Is Not What You Think It Is, which sounds like some kind of hypnosis tape you found in the trash or something. It's really unusual for us, and I like how much of an outlier it is.
It's funny. You're listening to these songs, and I'm thinking, yep, wholeheartedly agree, because these are some of my like favorites too. Like the names are just like immediately like, yep, I remember exactly like what that song was like. I remember why I liked it so much. So definitely some solid picks. Now you mentioned Craig Finn from the Hold Steady, one of many, 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 many collaborators on this project. I'm going to list a few of them here. There are others. We have Ezra Furman. We have Clint Conley from Mission of Burma. We have Cassie Berman from Silver Jews. Lydia Lovelace, John Vanderslice. He worked with a string section from Italy, a choir from Nigeria, and a Scottish bagpiper. Holy crap, Ryan. Jeez. And the kitchen sink too.
Well, listen, if we go big, we go big. You know, it's like
yes.
why if you're gonna take your big swing, I never call in favors. I meet all kinds of people. 20 years of doing a band, you meet people, you open for people, you play with people. And I never call in favors or ask anything from these folks. I just love knowing them. But I thought if there was a time to do it, And every ask I put out was filled with a million outs. Like, if you have no time for this, I'm still gonna love you. And it
Yeah.
was like because I would hate to pressure anybody, but the thing I found was almost no one said no. Everyone was so excited to do it too. And so all these peers and heroes, people I grew up listening to, are on here throughout. It's amazing.
How did you get the choir from Nigeria?
Okay, so I'm gonna let you and your audience in a little secret. Maybe they already know, but there's a site called Fiverr.com. The way you're laughing, Max, tells me you know what it is.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Fiverr. And basically, it's micro creative work for hire.
Mhm.
And so all kinds of people are on there. You can get writing, editing, video work, paint, anything you need creative, you can hire someone. And so there are options for like string sections and choirs. And they're not exorbitantly pricey, but they're not cheap either. And so we would just be like, well, the last 30 seconds of the song, could we afford a string section? And just chart that out and then see who takes the job on Fiverr. And so that was like the collaborators we don't know and who have never met, the Fiverr folks, but they're awesome. They all did such a great job.
They see, I think I had it in my head that this was a more like grand search, like, oh, like we did this like a global tour 10 years ago. These are the folks we
Right.
met, and I got their numbers. No, Fiverr. But you know what? I
Fiverr.
like that too. That's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A good shortcut, not a shortcut, but a good, I don't know. I hadn't seen a lot of people do that yet, but they should.
They should. They should. And now, folks, you know where to go. Fiverr, who is in no way sponsoring this episode.
No sponsor, but check it out. It's kind of interesting.
Exactly. Did you get to try out every idea that you had for this album?
Yeah, really. I was thinking earlier today, like, I just have to own every bit of this. I made the thing I wanted to make. And so if you don't like it, you have a different taste, or like, I love what we've made and I stand by it. I'm proud of it, because maybe like usual, we only do something if we get to actually execute the vision we have. And there's no reason not to. So yeah, this is what I imagined for 25 years in a way.
Yeah. Is it what you thought it was going to be?
I'm going to give you the classic BS answer, but in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Like I said, it felt like what was in my head for all these years. In other ways, tons of it really surprises me, and I wonder where it came from or how we did it. And and I'm surprised by what songs are jumping out at people initially. So yes and no.
Okay. Now, I want to also talk about the studios, because you work with two different studios, or the majority of your sessions were done.
Yeah.
Were done with Machines with Magnets in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and Crooked Horse Studio, which I've heard of before, in Providence, Rhode Island. Were these studios like new to you, or had you worked with them before?
Seth Manchester at Machines with Magnets, we've worked with a bunch, and since 2008. No, 2014 was the first time I worked with him, and we just love him, and he knows our strengths. I'm You, 2019's I'm You was the best received album we'd ever put out, and people really connected with it. And I said, well, we should use the same team that made that one, because something about it worked. And so Seth made All of Diamonds and Mixed Clubs. Now, Crooked Horse Studio and Evan and I have known each other for a long time. He truly taught me how to write songs, and we were in a band called The Stairs together before this band, The Hills. And in the past few years, he's gotten great at mixing, so he took on the second half of the album for mixing. They both did phenomenal work, and grateful to both of them.
Now, June 21st, Deep Cuts. This was a big CD release show. The time, it's been 2.5 years. The album's done. You get to talk about it with all your fans. What was that like to do that?
It was in a way overwhelming, because I felt like we worked in a vacuum for so long, and suddenly we're playing in front of people and they know the words and they're singing with us. It felt a little bit like a hallucination, but a positive one. And I just feel like it. I don't use the word lightly, but I felt by the end of the night, I felt like it was a triumph. Like we really did it.
There is so much happening here with this album, but did you get the chance to also try out anything new, new sounds, new ideas, new like writing methods that you've been sort of like saying, I wish we could do this at some point?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we didn't try out new ideas we've been sitting on over 4 albums, shame on us, you know. But I really think another secret of why we did this was having to make 4 in a row forced us to not make. We made albums we never would have made in 2025 or maybe ever, like Hearts, you know, where there's not drums on every track or they are much sparser. That wouldn't be something that the full band would dedicate. You know, we get 13 songs to put out this year. It's these. That wouldn't have happened. But the fact that the process changed what we wrote and what we made and how it sounds, I really think that in a
Oh,
good way. It cornered us and put us out of our comfort zone.
what do you think's the result now? Like, how is the band different from having done this?
Well, I don't know what you could musically throw in front of us that would make us blink because you know I really feel like we walk through fire in some sense. Like, you know, not only doing 4 albums but 2 covers a month for the Patreon. I mean, we just became this machine, and I mean that in a good way, not the negative like cog in a wheel thing. I don't know. I believed in this before, and I just more so now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, in the lead up to this release, you put out 2 singles, Fake Flowers at Sunset from the Diamonds LP and Crush All Night
yeah,
from the Clubs LP. Out of
yeah.
52 songs, these two,
Right.
what about these two made you think, yeah, these got to lead the charge?
I know. I know. It was maddening to try to. I don't know. You're giving me PTSD, Max, because there was no way. There was, especially that first one. It was like this has to represent what the whole thing is like. And so, basically, what I did was pick. You know, with those 2 songs you listed, 2 very different songs. Sort of a sweeter, sparser, more ornate one, and then like a dirty ass rocker with Crush All Night. So we just I don't know. Maybe we should have picked different songs. I that was a fun problem to have, but it also drove me kind of crazy
I'll bet it did.
because not one song represents what the whole thing sounds like. Of course,
Yeah, and you get such like a range of sounds here. Like we mentioned before, like Diamonds is very in your face, Hearts is very chill, Spades is very experimental. How do you pick one that says, okay, this is the
yeah,
album, basically?
I know it was impossible, so I did my best, and
I think you did a damn good job, sir. I think you did
thanks.
like all of you did such an amazing job, and I think something of this scale to bring it all together and have it work out so well is really, I think, very inspirational. I think, and for the folks at home who are saying, you know what, I had this big idea, pursue the idea, guys. They did
Yes,
this.
yes,
You can. They were able to
yes.
get a choir
just-
from Nigeria to be on this album. You can do your thing
If-
too.
If 6 average dudes from Boston can get a choir from Nigeria on their 52 album, do it. No,
Exact-
I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Max, and I really that's like was a dream sub. If David could serve as inspiration to people to try their crazy thing with their friends,
Yeah.
that should just be above and beyond because so many things other people made did that to me. So to sort of hopefully be part of a chain of
Yeah.
inspiration.
I agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed. Now let us talk summer shows. You got a few more coming up. You've got July 17th. You're going to be playing at Friends and Lovers in Brooklyn, New York, with Perennial, and then on the 18th, you're heading down to Philly. Love that city at Kung Fu Necktie, which is the best venue name I've heard in quite some time, with the Tisberries and Dan Spencer, and then on July 19th, so 3 days in a row, you're off to Maryland at Club 603.
Yep.
These 3 places, are they significant to you? Have you played there before?
The first 2, no, but Club 603 we've played many times. It's this beautiful house venue in Baltimore. It's a small room, but it sells out every time, and people are really there to hear your music. And the family that runs it is so kind and nice. And yeah, in fact, it was the last show we played before the last tour we were on, Max, was shut down by the CDC because we were touring I'm You into COVID before we knew what COVID was. And so the last show ever for us, what we thought might be ever, was at Club 603 in Baltimore. And, you can hear audio of it where I'm like, yeah, well, history will decide if this show itself is a terrible mistake. And so to go back there for us to, make it through COVID and make this thing and then go back to where the tour ended, that'll be really meaningful.
With Kung Fu Necktie, did you read that? Did you read that name and say, yeah, I don't care what it looks like, we're gonna fucking play there?
Kind of, yeah. It's the kind of venue name where you're like, I bet there's some cool shit on the walls.
Yeah. Oh,
people
yeah,
are nice.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a place in Boston called the Magic Room Gallery.
The Magic Room Gallery.
Yeah. This was in Will Des ran it, and they had all kinds of weird shit on the walls. Like you walk in, you're like, okay, that's different.
I can't believe I've never heard of this.
Oh yeah, it's long gone. Sad to say, but it was the ultimate place to find weird shit on walls. It was just a collection of all the stuff that he had just accumulated over the years, I guess. And just decorate the place, because I always think like new to find, and it made it like part of the fun to be there. But I also want to ask, you guys have been playing, like you said, for about like 20 years. Any places that are like in Boston that are like your spot to play at?
Well, our spot forever to play at, where our very first show ever was Great Scott, right there on Harvard Ave. We loved that place and played one of the last shows there because they closed down in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they are trying to reopen down the street, and it looks like it's going to happen. And I can't, if so, and they'll have us, I can't wait to play again at Great Scott. But we, Deep Cuts in Medford has that same good vibe. So we've been there a lot. But as far as, those are nice stories. We played all kinds of places where there was one place I remember playing where the bartender would give you a free shot if you let him tase you. Just
Did
just
you?
like I know, certainly not. But one of our band members was thinking about it. You end up at all kinds of places, and some of them you're glad to never see again, and some of them you want to keep going back to.
I've been there, man. I've been there. Yeah. You mentioned that Great Scott. Actually, that place definitely holds a special place in my heart, because when I lived in Brighton, it was like a 20-minute walk from my apartment. So I always loved to go there to see what was happening, because they had not only great shows, but they did cool comedy shows. The Pill was there forever. So it was such a great place to find a variety of acts, because you could see like a metal show Friday, a folk show on Saturday, a punk show on Sunday. So it was great blend of stuff.
Carl Lavin, the booker, has great taste, and it was just a hub of a whole group of friends and social scene and music scene and comedy scene. Yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, Ryan, man, we are coming down to the end of this conversation. But before we go, a couple more questions. I think we definitely have to talk about the band name, because this is not something you just plucked like out of a dictionary. No. Please tell us a story. Hallelujah the Hills. Where does that come from?
It's the name of a avant-garde comedy from the early 60s that two Lithuanian brothers, Jonas and Adolphus Mikas, made in Vermont, in the state of Vermont. And I was shown this film on the first day of films of the 60s class at BU when I was there for film. And I'd never seen a movie like it. I loved it. From a long list of names, it rose to the top, for better or worse. But a funny thing is, when I was writing the book in 2017, Astral Weeks, I had to interview Jonas Mikas because he knew one of the musicians in the book. And so, I had to keep my professional veneer and finish the interview. And then afterwards, I was like, now, Jonas, thank you for the interview. I have to tell you about my band name. And he was so delighted. He was like, I've heard of you guys. And we're so excited. He was like... he wanted to talk all about the making of the movie and ask about the band. It was great. I got to meet one of the men who made our namesake. It was incredible.
That is very, very cool. And of course, Ryan, the big question, man, where do you go from here? Deck is out there, 52 songs, 4 LPs. I mean, where do you go from there?
Right to bed.
There we go. Good answer. But seriously, man, what is next for the band?
Not thinking that way at all. Yes. I've been living with this thing for so long. I know every note and word of it. But even our most dedicated fans, Max, are still wrapping their head around it. It's been out for 2 weeks. It's a whole little world we built. So they're exploring. It's going to take some time. So I will just take a breather, let people do that, and enjoy all the beautiful reactions. It's been so nice.
On that note, folks, this will bring this episode to a close. Now, we've been telling you everything about this band, everything about Deck. Now's the time to check it out. You go to hallelujahthehills.com. Everything is there. You go on Spotify, find all 4 LPs, not hard.
Yep.
Check them all out. Let us know what you think. What'd you think about Diamonds? What'd you think about Hearts? What's your take on Spades? Do you have a favorite song? Comment. What's your favorite song? We want to know these things. And of course, keep, following the band. Summer shows are coming up. If you happen to be in Maryland, in Philly, in New York, find them. You won't regret it. And Ryan, certainly thank you once again for doing this. And I'm very much looking forward to the next conversation.
Max, thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
You're very welcome. And to all the listeners at home, thank you once again for checking out Citywide Blackout. As we bring this thing to a close, we are going to leave you with the song Crush All Night. This was one of the first single releases that predated the album. And we'll see you all next time. And with that, we bring this episode to a close. Thanks for listening, and if you haven't already, check us out on Facebook under Citywide Blackout, and Twitter and Instagram under Citywide Max. You can catch this and all your favorite episodes on your favorite podcast platform, and new episodes are added every week. as well as on Boston Free Radio every Saturday at 10 p.m. You get at me at citywidemax@yahoo.com if you want to suggest a guest, submit your music, or just drop us a line. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.